everyone. Welcome to the Metalcore Nerd Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Mott. This is episode 2. I'm talking with Joey Stone from the Banner about the impact of Iron Man and the Dark Knight. Kind of gets a little bit off topic, but it's all nerd stuff, so I'm okay with it. Before we get into the interview, let's go to a little bit of the news. Warner Bros. Just announced that Wonder Woman's getting pushed back till August, which sucks. I miss going to the movies, and it's going to be a while for that one. Along with other postponements, Black Widow got delayed with no date. New Mutants got delayed with no date. So we're just waiting for an official confirmation from Marvel or Disney when those are coming out. I'm trying to cram a bunch of news from the past few weeks into to spread out through 3 episodes. So there's not going to be much news in each episode. So let's get right into this conversation with Joey Stone from the Banner. Hey Joey, what's up, man?
John, what's going on, buddy?
Just living the dream. How you holding up in this whole coronavirus situation?
It has affected my life in almost no way at all.
Really? No way?
Yeah, like during the wintertime, it's like the majority of my work is the illustration and the artwork, so I don't really go outside anyway. It hasn't, like, the only difference is now when I walk my dog 5 times a day like I always have, there's 100 other people out walking their dogs, and it's like, you're annoying. Go home.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can see it going either way, being like super busy or just no one there.
Like, everyone literally decided that the time it was least healthy to go outside is the time that they decided they were going to be healthy and start walking and jogging and shit. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. For me, it's pretty dead. I went to Target yesterday and it was kind of busy, which was alarming. But other than that, like, it's I've been all like comparing it to like after Thanos snapped, like you go outside and there's just like no one. It's like eerie as fuck.
Because it's crazy. Like, for me, there's more people like outside, like not at places, but like in the town. Like, there's kids playing in the street right now. Like what?
Yeah,
like people running, like jogging. Everyone is fucking jogging or walking their dogs and jogging. Like, what are you doing? Like, go home. Stop it.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, like, good for you, but also stop. Like,
yeah,
I still make my once a week trip to ShopRite. I just go at like 7:30. There's no one in there. I'm like in and out, like, and that's it. Like, come home and I do what I always do.
I mean, that's good though. I mean, it's good to hear someone's not super affected by it, you know?
Yeah, like, well, like, it's getting close to summer, which is like my big season for like the carpentry stuff. So I'm a little worried about that. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna walk and go into their houses and shit, but we'll see.
I have no idea about that stuff. That's what I've been wondering about. I have a couple friends who like run like landscaping companies and stuff, and that stuff's a little more outside. But even that, I'm like, how are they going to do it? Like,
yeah, it's rough for sure, but we'll see. So so far right now, it's whatever. My parents live in Pennsylvania, like at the top of a mountain. Mm-hmm. So it's like the best case scenario. It's like, I don't fucking worry about them. They're like sequestered in their like hideout. So
that's awesome. That's good. Do you remember when we met in person? I think I do. I think it was. I think it was a fest we played in Allentown, like that Sacrifest.
Wow!
Remember that? It was in like a weird building that like used to be like a nightclub or something. It was like
it wasn't like an old factory that was like converted to stuff.
I think so. It was a huge building, like ginormous. And I know like Shia Lude played, Old Wounds played, and then obviously Ghost Ship and the Banner played. But I remember like we played, and then I got like all these tweets.
Ghost Ship and who?
The Banner, you guys.
Oh, the band. Yeah, my band. Correct.
Yeah. And I remember like after the set, and I like checked my phone, and I got all these tweets from the Banner Twitter, and it was like, just got done moshing to Ghost Ship, and I think we talked after that. But I know after that, like pretty much every few months, Ghost Ship played New Jersey, and you were always there anyway.
Yeah. That's when I still like went out and I still liked people. And I was like, this is fun. I'm gonna support the scene. And I'm like, fuck them.
Yeah, to me, it's like, oh, do I have a band playing the show? Okay, I'll go. Or it's like, do I really want to see this band? Yeah, I'll go. But now there's no show, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine. Who cares? I could just talk to you on the internet like I prefer.
Yeah, that's very fair.
I remember Sacrifice because I remember the kid asking me, and I'm like, I don't know you, and like that was a thing for me at the time because like I would play smaller shows, but it would be like I'd go to the kid's page, and if he has other shows that he did and he seemed reasonable, I'd rather help the other guy out. So this kid hit me up, and he had like nothing, and I'm like, And then he made that flyer, and the flyer looked super professional.
It looked sick.
And then Maddie from Shiloh hits me up. He goes, "Are you playing this thing?" And I go, "I don't know. I'll play it if you play it." He goes, "Okay." And then Old Wounds is like, "We're playing." I'm like, "All right, well, I guess we're gonna do it." And I went, and it was just like everybody there, like, just hopped in the van with the bands playing.
No, so, yeah, we literally played for each other. In like a 20 band bill or whatever it was.
Oh God, yeah, that was fun.
Good times.
At the time, it wasn't fun. In retrospect, it was funny, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny now. I mean, I hung out and talked. I think it might have been the first time I met Maddie in person too. I think.
Yeah.
But it was good chatting with him. That's pretty much what I did most of the show anyway.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you do. Like, if we play a show with Shiloh's there, I find the chair that Matt's sitting on, and then I sit on the chair next to him, and we sit and we just laugh, and we, like, make fun of people, and we make fun of each other, and then it's like, all right, see you in 6 months. And
yeah. All right, so do you remember what got you into, like, comics or anything, like, nerd-related, like, first time?
Oh, I think always when my mom and my dad got divorced when I was super young, and like the first thing my dad did was like take me to see Empire Strikes Back because we had watched Star Wars together a bunch. So he took me to see Empire Strikes Back, and it wasn't like oh, I was shattered by the divorce. It was fine. Like I saw it, like it didn't affect me in any way. Like it was fine. Like it really was. But he overcompensated like crazy. He took me to see Empire. And then, like, every time he showed up, he'd just be throwing Star Wars toys at me because he was like, this is our thing. This is what we like. So I got super into Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the nerdy stuff was always there. And then I went to camp when I was a kid, and he showed up one day, and he was like, oh, I saw this Star Wars comic book, but then I saw these other comic books. And, like, I'll never forget for the rest of my life. It was a Star Wars comic, which is like I'm vaguely in my head. Then the other one was Alpha Flight. Like my first comic book
was Alpha Flight. Oh my God!
And I knew Spider-Man from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and I knew Batman because he's Batman. But like comic books wasn't like a thing. Like I was too young. So he shows up, and I got Alpha Flight, and the cover is Alpha Flight had a robot on their team. I think his name was Box.
Yeah.
And it's Box, and his chest was open, and Wolverine is jumping out of his chest. And I didn't know who the fuck Wolverine was, but like every kid who saw Wolverine for the first time, I'm like, he's got knives coming out of his fucking hands. What is this? You know what I mean? And I also think that was when I realized that Canada was a place. And I'm like, what the fuck is Canada? My dad's like, it's a country. And I'm like China? Because there was America, and there was China, and there was Italy, and there were 3 islands floating in the ocean, and that was the entire world that I knew about. Don't ask me what I knew about China, I guess, because karate, I don't know, but that was it. And that was, and it was Alpha Flight, and then it was like they were fighting some bad guy who, like, put scary thoughts in your head. So, like at one panel, there was this monster chasing someone who was clearly Jason Voorhees. He had the hockey mask and he had the overalls. And I'm like, isn't this the dude from the scary fucking movie? And it was like, as a kid who doesn't have any concept of it, I was like, I don't understand what's happening, but Knife Hands guy is the shit.
Yes.
Yeah. So like that was, and then I was just like, you know, at camp, and every couple of weeks you have Parents' Day. I said, I want more of these. And I think my dad just thought, thank God he's reading. And he just kept reading me more. And, you know, I would read them whenever I could. And then my dad has always been like super into stand-up comedy, and as a side job, he was a host at a comedy club in Fort Lee called Bananas, and he worked there with a guy named Scott Lobdell, and he was a writer. And my dad would always say, I'm working with a guy, and he writes comic books. And I was like, oh, cool. So he brought me an X Factor that he wrote signed. I'm like, that's so cool. And he brought me a Marvel Presents. And the Marvel Presents was like a team up between Beast and Constrictor, who was like one of the most obscure fucking characters ever. Like he was always just kind of in the perimeter. He was a bad guy. He was kind of a bad guy. But he had these big like tentacles with like a point on the end that came out of his hands. And his name was Constrictor. And it's kind of like a snake. I thought he was the coolest fucking dude. To the point where Omega Red, who came out later, had basically the same shit. I was like, fuck this fucking guy. He's a fucking poor man's fucking Constrictor. And now I get butthurt anytime somebody likes Omega Red. I'm like, that guy sucks. And I'm like, what? He's like, well, he's got a death pheromone, so he farts on you. Get the fuck out of here, this stupid fuck. I love Constrictor. But he wrote these comics, and I remember like my dad coming, he's like, hey, you know my friend Scott who gives you all the comic books? I'm like, yeah. He's like, he's about to get really famous. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, he just wrote a comic book and the guy's gay. And I was like, what? And that was North Star, the first comic book where North Star came out as gay. That was Scott Lobdell. And like he wrote it, and I was just like, really? I was like, because I didn't have a concept of that either. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, what do I know? So I was like,
insane.
Yeah, and like my dad was always like a blues kind of hippie dude, so he was always down for everything. He was like, yeah, it's good, great, like here, this is gonna be cool. And I guess he like got famous after that, and he like stopped working at the comedy club a few weeks later. But I still have these comics. I have How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way that he signed for me, and like I still tell people all the time, and I'm like, well, who's your big influence? It's like, well, Scott Lobdell is my biggest influence, because I think when you're a kid, you don't realize somebody wrote those. Like you see the pictures.
Right, yeah.
And as a kid who drew, I'm like, oh, it's art, you know? And he was like, no, he just wrote it. He didn't draw it. And I was like, what? And that's when it started to like occur to me, like, oh, people write these.
Yeah, people collab on this, like work together to make it a whole thing. Yeah,
that's when I started writing, yeah.
That is like one of the coolest getting into comic stories I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, it went from a thing that I did to like a thing that you can, like, it didn't occur to me that, oh, this is like, when you're a kid and someone delivers a pizza, you don't think somebody made the pizza. You think the pizza guy manifested it in his car and delivered it to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't occur to me, like, there's people there making these comics. Like, the comic books came from my dad, you know?
Right, yeah. You're like, oh, he just went and got the comics, and now I have the comics, now I'm reading them. Yeah, there was no thought process of how did this become a thing?
Yeah, and it was like, wait, so somebody writes this and someone else draws it? And I was like, crazy. And that was like when I got like, I was always drawing, so like that's when that was the thing.
That's incredible. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's I still like, anytime I do an interview with someone asks me, I like tag him in it, and he's like, thanks, like, you know, he's like, who is, like, he like, because like I guess he's not writing as much anymore, and he's like, who is this fucking kid? And I always do it from like the Banner Twitter. He's like, this scary fucking band, what's happening? Like, I don't understand at all.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I guess
sorry.
No, you go on.
So it was crazy because like a year or so ago, some like chick came out. Not chick. I know that's an awful thing to say now, but it's like it never was before. Some woman came out, and I guess they were on a panel together. And Scott made some comment like that she was attractive or something. And like in the theater of things now, yes, not cool. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But as someone who knew the guy, I was like, I'm sure he didn't mean anything. And everyone's like, all like, you know, all these progressive people were like attacking him. And I just want to be like, this is the guy that made a gay guy in the comic books, like in the 90s, like in Marvel. Like, trust me, he's not really a super bad guy. Like, he's just old, you know, like he's not like, you know what I mean? I was like,
he meant well. The way people say things now is different than
it's like things, you know. It's not even that it's different. It's that you didn't think about him in a certain way.
Yeah.
You get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it, and I'm sure he gets it. But like, it's just like, you know, sometimes it's just like, it's just innocent ignorance. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I know the guy's. He's pretty progressive. Like, he got death threats when that happened. It wasn't like,
sure.
do you know what I mean? It was like, I graduated high school in 97. So it had to be 95, 96 around then.
Yeah.
So
stuff like that did not happen. Like there was like a few like sitcoms and stuff, but
you know what's funny that I just realized? North Star was an Alpha Flight. Like, and this was years apart. What is Alpha Flight in my life? Like, it keeps coming back.
Yeah, that is the most insane thing, that Alpha Flight, besides Star Wars, but like Alpha Flight was your first comic. Like that's crazy.
It's fucking nuts, man.
Because I know who Alpha Flight is. I know they're Canadian, and like Wolverine was involved, and I think Captain Marvel was involved at some point or something, maybe.
There's so many weird people.
But but like I don't really know. I don't know the inner workings of Alpha Flight at all. I just know it's very like not main thing. You know, it was kind of like.
Whenever there's a world problem, they show up to fight. Like October Guard. They show up for Canada. They show up for Russia.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. All I remember thinking was they had actual Bigfoot on their team. I was like, really? It's like, yeah. They got North Star, who goes really fast, and they have twins, and then they got a Native American lady, and then they have Bigfoot. Bigfoot's on the team. And a midget. And they had not a midget, a small person. Puck. It was just a small guy who was an acrobat. That was their team. They had a small guy and a dwarf person, Bigfoot, twin. It was like a fucking, like, what's happening? What is this? What is this? Yeah. All right. Go Canada. I guess once they got Wolverine, everything else, they just sucked the balls out of everything else, maybe. Like,
probably.
They put it all into Wolverine. That was their guy.
We got the big guns now.
Yeah.
we got an A player on our team now.
Oh, man.
All right, so let's dive into Iron Man: The Dark Knight. Do you remember seeing them in theaters in 2008?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember.
Do you remember your first thoughts on both of them when you saw them?
My first thoughts, Iron Man. Okay. So I'll do Iron Man first.
Okay.
I remember Iron Man coming out as a movie.
Yep.
And Iron Man was always an Avenger, and he was always cool to like comic book people, like Iron Man, but he wasn't Spider-Man.
No, he wasn't a main guy.
He wasn't Captain America. He wasn't the Hulk. Those were the three Marvel guys that everyone liked. Like everyone, there's people who love the Hulk, who love Captain America, who love Spider-Man, who have never read a comic book in their life.
Yep.
And before that, there was no movie. There was no anything. I like the concept of the Hulk. And it may have came from the TV show. Captain America, because I'm just a weird patriot guy. You know, like... It's like there was reasons. I was like, Iron Man? And then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, it could be a cool movie. Like, I'll go see anything that's dweeby. And then and I'm like, but I don't care. Like, who gives a shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Iron Man? All right. And I went to go see it, and I was like, oh, this is way better as a movie than it is as a comic. And the comic books for Iron Man got better because of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, when you're watching this shit, it's cool as hell. And then it made me think, like, there's so many cool characters that are going to crush it as a movie that are kind of whatever in the comic books because the stories have to be so specific. And my biggest example of that was Doctor Strange. No one gives a shit about Doctor Strange, okay? If Neil Gaiman wrote Doctor Strange, it would be amazing. Like, if, like, creepy guys wrote Doctor Strange, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
And when it's the end of the fucking world and the devil shows up, that's when Doctor Strange comes in because you gotta fight the devil, so you need Doctor Strange. Or, you know, you need some magical thing or some evil thing, Doctor Strange. It's like when there's a big science thing, you call Reed Richards. That's how you know shit is real.
Yes.
You know, when they're all fighting demons, like, oh, what do we do? Doctor Strange just pops up like, you know, I felt something evil was happening. Like, oh, fuck, this is a major problem.
Yes.
But other than that, who cares? Like, as his own story, like, there was nothing huge. But in a movie... that tracks. Like that's Doctor Strange is way better for a fucking movie or a series than he is, and I'm talking about continually.
Oh yes,
in the comics, and I think Iron Man was awesome. Like I think like that was so cool because then it made it's great as a movie, and now I give a shit more about Iron Man than I ever would have.
Oh yeah, same here. It's weird because I almost don't really remember. I knew I saw it in theaters because my brother used to work in a movie theater, so I was able to get into movies for free, which was sick. So I would literally just go see anything because I could. I would see like the worst movies ever, but I was like, oh, it's a it's a Marvel thing. That's cool. I'll go check it out, because I didn't get into comics till way later. So I really only knew like Spider-Man because I watched like the animated show, and like X-Men because I watched the animated show. Like I was just like a normal like person. I loved it. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But until like the, you know, most of the terribly made early 2000s superhero movies that I still saw, which even then I was like, I mean, it was okay. It happened. But I remember, I remember watching it and being like, wow, that was really good. But I did not know the grand like thing it would start after that. I guess that was the big thing that I didn't like. I had no grasp of.
Yeah, it definitely made you think like, oh, there's a lot of possibilities here now. But you know what I think it was? I think it was just everything was perfect. I think Jon Favreau had to be perfect. Robert Downey Jr. was perfect. Like, flawless. You know what I'm saying? Like, he nailed it. Like, everything that I didn't like about Tony Stark in the comic books, like, what a douchebag. Like, you know, I was like, oh, I like this douchebag. You know what I mean?
You're still a douchebag, but you liked him, even though he was a douchebag.
I'm like, I can get into this dude. You know, because in the comic books, you kind of put your own spin on it. I guess in your head, it's your interpretation. It's like, why do I care about this rich dude? Like, I don't. Like, he's a dick. Right. I don't like him, and he's mean to Captain America. So fuck him. Like, I don't like. Well, fuck him. But in the movie, I'm like, oh, I dig him. He's nice.
Like, no, he still cared, even though he was a douchebag. He still cared. He had a heart, you know.
Other stuff. Yeah. So that was cool, and you know, it led to a bunch of other good shit.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get more to that after. So, first thoughts on Dark Knight.
Blew my fucking mind.
Same.
Dark Knight fucked me up. Like, I was like, oh, whoa, holy shit. Because for me, like, I got into the dark comics like immediately. As soon as I started seeing them, I was like, oh, like, yeah, like, oh, Sandman, oh, Death, right. Oh, you know, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, like anything that was like kind of dark, I was like, give me all of it. So right. Frank Miller Batman, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is fucking incredible. Like, Batman's wearing black clothes. Like, everyone knows it now. When Batman started wearing the black stuff, for me, I was like, whoa, it was nuts because he's always blue and gray.
Yeah, blue and gray, yeah. Bright.
Now Black Batman is the Batman. But when that first happened, it was fucking crazy. And it's like, it seems intuitive. It seems, of course he's a fucking bat. Of course he's wearing black.
Yeah, he comes out at night. Why wouldn't he wear black?
Exactly. So those Frank Miller Batmans were fucking cool. And then everything after that, like he was kind of this dark-edged kind of dude. I'm like, this is sick. And you know, the Batman movie with Tim Burton, you know, like, who would have ever thought Tim Burton's making a Batman movie? But that movie that movie was fucking, and it just cemented that. And then Batman Begins comes out, and I don't think it wasn't a dark movie in the sense as the previous stuff was. You know what I mean? Where it's like all shadow, all this, all like brooding, pseudo-gothy bullshit.
Yeah.
But it was realistic. It was edgy as fuck.
Yeah, very realistic.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was definitely apart from that. I mean, the one definitely led to the other, but it was, do you know what I mean? Like, it was cool. It was realistic. I'm like, this is great. The difference is where Iron Man, I was like, oh, they could do this. Oh, they could do this. Oh, they could do this. I'm seeing Batman Begins, and I'm like, they could never do Superman like this. They could never.
Too dark.
They could never do Aquaman like this because who get like, ugh, like awful. Like do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How would Superman be in that
world?
If Christopher Nolan ever did a universe and he did the Superman, like it's Christopher Nolan. He's incredible. Would I still care? Like, I don't know if he could do a Superman that I would be like, all right, you know, like it just seems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there could have been other, like, it's both huge for different reasons. In many ways, I think Batman Begins fucked the DC Marvel universe because they're like, well, Batman Begins was huge, so we need to have a little bit of edginess, right?
Right.
You know, like, and the difference was it was always the exact opposite, where DC Comics were always light and bubbly, except for Batman.
Yeah,
and then Marvel comics are always dark and edgy, except for Captain America.
Yeah.
The movie universes were the exact opposite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's like, oh, like look at Aquaman. Like I liked Aquaman, and I like.
Oh, same. I liked it a lot.
You know,
it's almost like a rom-com with superhero stuff, though, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And, and I'm talking like what they did with the characters. Like, all right, he's like this Polynesian tattooed fucking bro. And they're like, and he's like, and the movie's just fucking Fast and Furious underwater with monsters. And they're like, well, like, why am I watching this? I'm like, what else could it have possibly been? Like, that's what it needed to be. Sit down and enjoy a guy riding a shark fighting a guy riding a seahorse with a giant crab monster. Because if you can't enjoy that, your soul is dead.
Yeah. Well, it's what else were you going to do? Make him the super boring dude who goes and talks to fish? Like, is that what you're going to do?
What am I going to do? I'm going to get like this heartfelt tale about a guy whose real family is fucking mermaids? Like, I don't care. Like, you can't do an Aquaman Begins because it's fucking stupid. It has to be in a comic book because you fill the blanks in your head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And your brain makes it digestible. That movie had to be that. It had to be the guy just stepping on the gas for the bullshit because it's just nothing else would have been tolerable at all. But then everybody wants Batman Begins, and it's not going to be that.
Yeah, that's fair. I do remember I saw The Dark Knight 3 times in theaters. I saw 3 times. I saw the midnight release when those were still a thing. I don't know if they are still a thing, but I saw it midnight the night it came out, and I think I might have saw it the same weekend too. And I remember bringing my mom to go see it because she always bought me like Batman toys when I was a kid. Like I loved Batman when I was a kid. I had all the movies on VHS and everything, even the shitty George Clooney one, which is now just kind of like one of the best comedies ever written unpurposely.
Right.
But I was like, Mom, this movie's incredible. You're going to come see it with me. I don't care. Whatever. Because she doesn't really care about seeing movies in theaters like me. I've always loved it, but she never really cared.
Yeah.
But I was like, just come see it with me. It'd be awesome. And she saw it and she liked it. She does not care about this stuff like I do at all. I don't really know where I got it. Yeah, I don't really know where I got it from, to be honest. I was just super into like Power Rangers, and then like I said, Spider-Man and X-Men, the cartoons, and Batman the animated series, and like I remember having like everything on VHS. Like even if it came to Disney, like I had everything. I always had it on VHS, and I even had the 3 set of the Star Wars movies, like the 3 VHS set in the box and everything.
Oh, I had that. I love that thing.
Yeah, it was sick because obviously I wasn't alive like when the movies came out, like in theaters or anything.
Ugh.
Yeah, I was 18 when Iron Man Dark Knight came out.
Oh my god!
So I was like just graduating high school. But yeah, so I guess like initially Dark Knight hit with me way more because I was always the biggest Batman guy, and I remember seeing it and just being like, man, this movie is insane. Like they kill one of the main characters right in the middle of the movie. Like who does that? Like no one does. Like especially in superhero movies, they're always super like it was very cookie cutter. Like it's the origin, then it's there's the bad guy, then you fight the bad guy, and then you beat the bad guy, and then it's over. It was all very structured, and no one really steered off from that. And I guess Iron Man didn't either, but they just did it better. They just did it with like they made it grounded, they made it real. They didn't make it super fucking corny. Like it looked amazing, and they stuck the landing with. Even though if you look at it like broken down, it's like a typical movie, but they just did it well. But with The Dark Knight, that's not a typical superhero movie at all. Like they totally they like totally flipped the script and they were just like, yep, here it is. And they put out one of the best superhero movie villains ever, and like how do you live up to that?
they took a guy that was like one of the coolest Batman villains. If you were a Batman comic book fan, you knew who he was, And
even with like the animated series or anything before that, you knew who the Joker was.
And it's his own guy. And they did similar, and I mean they did the same thing with I think Bane later on. I was like, they're going to do Bane in a movie? That's crazy. And everyone's like, well, does this mean we're going to see other villains when he sets them free? And he was a terrorist. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like he was a Joker. Like that, like Bane did Joker shit.
Yeah.
In that movie. And it was, I mean, it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hate Dark Knight Rises, or like hate on it, I guess. But I love that movie. I thought Tom Hardy was amazing. I mean, if you're gonna do a real life Bane, like that's the dude you do a real life Bane around.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, and the thing is, like, you don't realize the extent of how great his Bane was until you watch Tom Hardy and everything else, because you're like, I don't even know that that's Tom Hardy. Like,
no, barely, no.
Yeah, like it's just it's that weird ass voice, the weird ass accent. You never see his fucking face.
No.
And I'm like, yo, he did a fucking like that was some serious fucking acting.
Yeah, like he is kind of underrated in a sense, I think.
I think so.
And I think that movie is very underrated. And I think it also suffered from following The Dark Knight. It's like, how do you follow a perfect movie? Like, I think that movie was very good, but most people would be like, oh, it wasn't The Dark Knight. Well, it's like, no, of course it wasn't. You're not just going to redo the same thing, you know?
Listen, a lot of the people who don't like these movies are not comic book people. They're not comic book movie people. They just like, you know, they want to compare something to something that you got to, I try to like look at things in the context of the time of when they came out and what else was happening. When Batman came out, it changed. It was like an explosion. It was everything. It was like, so it's still Batman. How are you going to make another movie? It's different. It's a different fucking thing. And it was still pretty fucking good. Like it's cool shit, you know?
It was amazing. Him getting his back broken and training to come back and everything.
Yeah.
Like, insane.
And put him in a pit of prisoners and shit. That's hard. Like, this is a gnarly fucking movie.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're on the same page as that. That's awesome.
I mean, you got to think of it this way. Like, in the comic books, Bane came out. When those comics came out, they fucked everybody up because no one knew who the fuck Bane was.
Right.
He released everyone. So all of a sudden, Batman had to fight all of his friggin' villains.
That he already,
When he finally got to the guy that did it, he lost. He got his ass beat. Like crippled. Bane fucking crippled him, and that shit was on the cover.
Yeah, Bane breaking his back, yeah.
What's this? And then you read to the back like, oh, no, wait, that really happened, and he broke his fucking spine. Now, was the end result Azrael? Yes, and that's unfortunate. But at the time, that shit was killer. Like, it was like nuts, because Bane was like, maybe I can't beat him, so I'm just going to exhaust him. But when you look at Bane in the Thing, he did the exact opposite. Instead of releasing all the villains, he took Batman, broke his back, and then threw him into
with the villains.
You know what I mean? Now, Killer Croc wasn't down there or anything like that. But
no. But
being thrown into a literal, it was almost like Dante's Inferno. It was like a literal fucking hit. It was sick.
Yeah, it was very metal, for sure.
Extremely fucking metal.
So I guess looking back now, more of not then, but now, you know, Dark Knight is still one of the best superhero movies ever. It's probably one of my favorite movies ever still. But
I think the thing with Dark Knight is it not only is it one of the best superhero movies, it goes up there with one of the best movies.
Yeah, I agree.
Great period stop. It's a great fucking movie. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to put Iron Man against Shawshank Redemption. You're just not. Like, you can't do it. It's one of the best superhero movies. But would you? I can say if someone said I like Dark Knight, but Batman Begins a little bit better than Shawshank Redemption. It's like, all right, I respect your opinion. I disagree, but I get it. I get how someone could do that.
Yeah,
you're not doing that with Iron Man.
Yes, but Iron Man on the other side launched literally the biggest series, biggest universe of movies ever. So
absolutely.
So what do you think?
There's a place for it.
Yes, exactly. So what do you think now has had more of an impact on the superhero genre, Iron Man or The Dark Knight? It's hard. I know it's super hard.
They both kind of thrusted the superhero movie. I would say equally. They thrusted the hunger and the need for superhero movies. But whereas Iron Man propelled the fucking universe, Batman, through no fault of its own, and through only the fault of like the DC movie making people, Batman Begins fucked them. Like, after Batman Begins, they're looking at Batman Begins like, we definitely can make more of these. But Marvel's doing that. But can we do more of this? Like, how can we do our own thing that people who liked Batman Begins will like this also? But so I think DC, whoever's doing that, found themselves in a position where, like, what do we do? When they literally could have just went to anyone who was really good and been like, can you make us a really good movie of this? Right. Which is why I think Guns, Suicide Squad is going to be fucking great.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be amazing.
But I think that was a perfect storm of shit. Marvel fucked up and fired his ass.
Yeah.
DC said, we'll literally give you anything. Please, God, please make us anything you want.
Whatever you want, do it.
Whatever it is. And then and they basically just said, okay, here's the keys. Here's a big check. We'll see you in 9 months. And you know what? That movie's going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I would put money that it is. And it's because they were just like, I think DC's at the point where we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We don't. I think they know.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because pretty much since everything from Justice League I've enjoyed, and they've kind of done a good job of being like, they'll put 1 or 2 lines still connecting it in some way.
Yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, it's in the same world, but not like the MCU obviously, where it's like now even solo movies aren't even solo movies because they'll have like a secondary character who's like the co-star, you know what I mean? It's But
like that.
But DC is like, I think they finally learned, oh hey, we can't fast track this into a universe. We need to build everything out and then maybe connect it eventually. All you have to do is acknowledge that it's a universe. Like you don't like that's what I say. You just have to acknowledge, like, all you need is like some guy at a coffee shop saying like, oh, did you see this shit about the Flash? While like you don't need the Flash to come in. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what they've been doing. You know what I mean? Like in Shazam, like the kid had like the Batarang and he had like a bullet from like what happened in BVS and stuff, being like, oh yeah, it's in the same world. You know what I mean? But like, well, I guess Superman, dude, it's a very fun movie. It's, I think the thing that DC has been struggling with is that the endings have been very, not like bad, but just like typical superhero endings. Oh, there's a fight and they win kind of thing.
Right.
But like I said, everything from Justice League for me has been a win. Like Aquaman was good. Shazam was good. I really like Birds of Prey. That was fun.
I haven't watched that yet. I've been sitting on it for waiting. My girlfriend wants to see it really bad. She's excited, so I haven't seen it yet. But my thing with the Justice, the DC universe is, after a few movies, I kind of just started acquiring them off the internet because I was afraid to like go out and pay money. And I enjoyed all of them. Like I really did. I'm just like, am I like, oh, is this as good as Iron Man? It's like, no. But you know what I mean? Is it a guy? Are there guys riding giant underwater dinosaurs? Yes. And I like that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like the Justice League, they're all together and they're fighting space demons. Like, is my life changed forever? Will I forever change how I write my comics? No. Am I glad I'm watching it? Did I kill a bag of Tostitos and I don't feel like I wasted my life? Yes, it's fine. It's like, it's fun. Like, what the fuck? Why does everyone want their life changed?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have kind of almost become like movie critics online and started like breaking down these movies to like some crazy like theological like breakdown. And I'm like, yo, it's a dude who has powers and he goes and fights this other dude who has these also powers that are almost unexplainable.
I don't even read them anymore. Like,
no, I just scroll past it.
I go on these like Collider, like on Collider, because it was good news. But that is the douchiest website I have ever read. Almost everyone who, there's exceptions, but almost everyone who writes on that page is the most condescending, douchiest person. I'm just like, have you ever made a movie in your life? Why are you so empowered by your opinion that you just feel to make like these sweeping declarative statements on things? It's like, ew, like it's so bad. And they're just, it's like, ugh, like just tell me when the movie comes out and show me pictures of, new Taskmaster costume. I don't care I don't care Matt Goldberg's opinion on the fucking lighting. I don't who are you? Like,
I used to I used to watch all their movie reviews and stuff, and now that they like fired everyone and don't really do any podcasts, I stopped listening to them and I just followed everyone else who got fired in their own stuff. But when they were doing like some of the movie reviews, I would literally turn off because like usually I do listen to it to like hear their opinion, but I'm like, I was like, this is too much. Like I was like, I love talking about superhero and nerd stuff, but like I was like, what are you even talking about at this point? Like I don't even know.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I'm like, why do you like? I am into my opinions, and I strongly defend my opinions. But I'm never like, no one should think anything but me about this. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I know what a fucking gaffer should be doing. You know what I mean? Like they say them like, well, so and so won the Oscar for best music editing, which is great because shut the fuck up. Whatever, like shut up. Like I know people in the music industry. If they told me their opinion on the music editing of this, I would go, okay, I'm going to listen to you because you're a producer, but also I don't care about your opinion. I definitely don't care what the fucking guy on Collider thinks who's still working a day job waiting tables. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you even bring this up? Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
No. You're like I said, there was some I'd watch and I'd just be like, I can't do this. Like
their Star Wars stuff was offensive. It was offensive how they were like, if you like the new movies, it's cool. And I like a lot of stuff about the new movies, but the way that they liked the new movies and the ways they were defending some of the things about the new movies where it could just be like, I feel this way, and I'd be like, fine. But they were like, this is why this is the best thing ever to happen to Star Wars. And I'm like, you're 22 years old. I've had Star Wars my whole life, and I disagree with you, and I don't think that I'm wrong just because you think that.
Yeah, you know? I think I watched the review for Rise of Skywalker, and it was very negative, actually. It was, like, insanely negative. I was like, wow. I was like, and usually when stuff's negative, when it's something I like, I'm like, I don't want to listen to this because, like, I don't want someone, like, you know, obviously they can have their opinion and whatever. Like, I don't care if someone doesn't like something. It's not going to change my opinion. But, like, I'm not going to sit there and listen to it. Like, that's not enjoyable for me, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Like the thing is, I think I liked Rise of Skywalker the best of the new movies, like, by far.
I think I probably did, too.
And the thing is, like, is it a disjointed, rushing mess of a guy who's like, fuck, I got to wrap this up in one fucking movie?
Oh, yeah.
I should have never let someone else direct the second movie. I fucked myself on this. I got a lot of shit I got to do my best or people are going to destroy me for the rest of my life. Yes, I do. But did I get to see Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker training on Endor for 3 seconds? Yes, and I loved it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The Sith Troopers, I was so excited. I'm like, whoa, there's a giant, you know, ageless Sith cult, and they have Sith Troopers that are made by these Sith cultists on the secret Sith church. That is the most JSS Joey storyline ever fucking written. You know what I mean? I'm like, perfect, great. I would have, if I wrote Star Wars, I would have never even. Well, I can't do that in Star Wars. Like, I would never even. But they
thought of that, yeah. Like, oh yeah, here's this secret Sith cult that's been keeping a Palpatine clone alive for fucking 30 years or whatever.
Like, cloning these dudes to like keep this going to re-rise the Empire. That's awesome. That's cool as shit. He didn't handle it. He didn't have the time to like do that. Like, he didn't. Like, if they would have like, oh, she's a descendant of Palpatine. It's like, it's a stretch, but cool. Like, I think the concept of like a girl who is like, it's like the granddaughter of Hitler who just wants to be a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's a great fucking story. That's not what we got. You know?
Not really.
But like, all right. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff there that I love, but I think I love it more because I get to think about it more on my own. Because how it was delivered, I didn't get that much, you know? But I don't know. It's just, you know, it's I don't know. It's Star Wars, and I'm going to be a Star Wars guy forever. I don't know. I'm like, even now we're doing a Batman Iron Man podcast. I'm talking about fucking
Star Wars.
I can't help myself. I have a Star Wars problem. It infects every part of my life.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. It makes sense. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just.
So, Do you think because the beginning of the MCU was very movie to movie, like if one movie failed, it all would have just collapsed. Do you think if it failed like after Thor or after Captain America or even Iron Man, do you think Iron Man would still be remembered the same way it is today? Or do you think the even though Iron Man was an amazing movie, but do you think it would still have stood the test of time if the MCU didn't exist as a whole?
I don't think it does now.
Really?
I really don't. I think people, when you actively think about it, you're like, yeah, Iron Man was a great movie and Iron Man started it. But I think most people, when they think about the Marvel movies, it's kind of this amorphous kind of thing. Like people go, yeah, Thor 2 was the worst and Iron Man 3 was the worst. But I don't think they think about them like that much. Like I don't think people sit and loathe fucking Thor 2 the way they loathe the Justice League movie or they loathe Superman versus Batman. Do you know
That's
what I
fair.
mean?
Also,
Like,
Iron Man 3 is amazing. So
I didn't hate Iron Man 3 at all. People tell me it's the worst, and I'm like, all right, it is because I thought it was cool.
That's one of my favorite Christmas movies. I'll watch it every Christmas. I swear. I watched it this Christmas. We were like eating dinner or whatever, and I put it on, and I was like, "This is one of my favorite Christmas movies. I don't care."
Yeah, I just, you know what? And I think the Marvel movies though have the benefit of everyone who plays a character does a really good job. Hemsworth is a really good fucking Thor, and when they hired him, I go, that guy sucks. And when they got Robert Downey Jr. to be Iron Man, I go, that guy sucks. Like I don't like that guy for Iron Man. I don't like that guy for Thor. I don't like that guy for, the only one that I was like stoked on was Doctor Strange. When they got Benedict Cumberbatch,
he is
Doctor Strange. I'm like, that's the perfect guy.
Yeah, he is literally perfect. Like
but also,
in every way.
I was wrong for every one of them. I like everyone. I like Captain Marvel as Allison Brie, and that movie was cool for me. I was like, I like this. I was tepid. I loved her as Captain Marvel. Yeah, I didn't like the kid they got to play Black Panther. I love Black Panther, and I love him now. Now he's Black Panther to me. Like
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know who the fuck they're picking, and I don't know why.
Also, Brie Larson. Brie Larson, not Allison Brie.
Oh, sorry, Brie Larson. I'm just in love with Allison Brie in general. So
they're talking. Well, rumors came out that they're searching for an Allison Brie type for She-Hulk, but I think that just means they want Allison Brie.
Yeah, I'll watch Allison Brie in anything. I rewatched all of Mad Men recently, and I was like, God, she's so great. And in Community, she was so great. In that Glow show, she's so great.
Yeah, I've never watched Mad Men, but I watched Community and Glow, and she's amazing in both of them.
Yeah, she's great. Like I don't know if she would be, again, she wouldn't be my pick for She-Hulk, but you know what? It just goes back to what I said before. I've been wrong every time.
Yeah, they're whoever does their casting is a genius, an actual genius. Because like you said, everyone who they've done has been spot on.
And I think that carries. I think Thor 2 is carried by Natalie Portman and Hemsworth. However the fuck you say his name? Like they do a great 100%. Job.
Yeah, and that movie is like, it's not the best movie, but I mean they also kind of redeem it a little in Endgame. Endgame kind of took every movie that was kind of whatever, and they're like, we're gonna make it important.
Which is what you have to do, and which is what Star Wars does. Like Star Wars gives you a little bit of something, and then afterward they give you a bunch of something. So when you watch it again, you go, "This is a big deal because
this thing,
this," and that's why. That's why.
Yeah,
and it's weird. Star Wars again.
No, yeah, it's fine. It's weird because before Infinity War, I went back and watched everything in order, like a psycho, because I'm a psycho. And I was just watching all of them, and that's when I kind of noticed that, I was like, these movies aren't as bad as like the Thor 2s or Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
and I was like, I like these movies, because I never was on that train, but then I watched them again, and I was like, these movies are good. They're fine. It's just I think it came to a grand scheme of the great Marvel movies are so great that anything that's above that line gets pushed to awful. You know what I mean? That movie isn't good.
I think the key is you have to watch them at home. I think you went into a bunch of these movies in the theater when they started and they were surrounded in so much hype. Yes. And then they paid off. You know what I mean? They're like, you're right. The hype was right. So then you go in these other movies and they're only mostly pretty good, and you're so spoiled that you're like, You know what I mean? It's like, but when you go and you watch it in your house, you know, or you watch it, you're like, what? This is great. Like I'm like Thor's fighting a bunch of crazy night elves, and the night elf guy was Sherlock. Like this is great. Like like this is fit. Was he a Doctor Who or something?
I think he was a Doctor Who. Yeah.
Like it's great. Like this guy's great. Like this is. I don't care. The only thing that sucks is I never got my good Hulk movie, and I still kinda like the old Hulk movies.
They're okay. It's just
when the Hulk is on the screen, it's great. They never got a good Bruce Banner.
That's fair because I love Edward Norton, but I remember being like, "Oh, Edward," because Fight Club is one of my favorite movies, and I was like, "Edward Norton is the Hulk. Like this is wild." And then I remember watching it and being like, "What was that?"
Yeah, like the thing is, Edward Norton, I got excited because for me, my Hulk, my Bruce Banner needs to be meek and small and kind of like not confident, and he kind of hates himself, and he knows that he's a nuclear missile, and he's like, I don't know, like blah blah blah. Like Mark Ruffalo is a fantastic actor, and in those movies I dig him, but Bruce Banner isn't fucking, he's not Mr. Snippy. He's Mr. Terrified all the time. Do you know what I mean?
He kind of got there, but it took a while for him to get there, I think.
Yeah, like it's got to be like when originally they were like Johnny Depp is Bruce Banner, and this was years and years ago. I'm like, that's perfect. I think he could do a great fucking job. You know who would direct an incredible fucking Hulk movie? Tim Burton. And I know that sounds fucking nuts.
No.
If you look at Edward Scissorhands, okay, and shit like that, and you said, okay, Tim Burton, you're going to direct Johnny Depp as Bruce Banner. And I know that I'm saying Johnny Depp now in the context of 2020. That would, I don't know how great the movie would be, but the Bruce Banner, I think, would be perfect. I really do.
Yeah.
Or as perfect as it's been.
The only thing that sucks is that a lot of the latest Tim Burton movies have been so whatever. It would be so hard for me to trust him with something that big,
But I think it's so far removed from everything else. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Okay, exactly. Look at Batman. You know what I mean? And look at Mars Attacks. Those movies are fucking great because they're just like, what? Like
crazy.
If you're going to like, you don't got to put crazy spirals in the background, and you don't have to make it some kind of Alice in Wonderland fucking acid trip. Just make this guy, and I think there's other people that could do it too. But I'm trying to say in what mindset for me of what I know as Bruce Banner, the guy who named his fucking band after Bruce Banner.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think would do the best that I can think of right now.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I never got my Hulk, and then when the last Avengers movie's coming out, I'm just like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get my giant, savage, rampaging Hulk. He's gonna punch Thanos in the face. He's gonna fight 100 guys, and he's gonna punch ships. It's gonna be great. And they gave me hipster nerd Hulk, and I was like, no! And it is my only qualm with the last movie, and I love the last movie. I didn't get my Hulk. And
a lot of like comic book, like super comic book nerds have expressed that to me, that they never got like the real Hulk, and I understand that. I love Smart Hulk, but I think that was the only thing bad I said about it after I watched Endgame was, they never got the rematch. But then I thought about it more, and I was like, since he like merged, like storyline, it makes sense because he merged himself, and him winning was getting everyone back. Like he did what he wanted to do. Like, you know what I mean? But we still didn't get that. You still didn't get that, like him facing off with him again. But like, there's no way Smart Hulk would have faced off with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not even when I say punch Thanos. I don't mean like I needed this showdown between Thanos and Hulk. I needed Hulk ripping through that war. Do you know what I mean?
Like World War Hulk, like crazy berserker. Like
how great would it have been to see Ant-Man, giant Ant-Man, and Hulk fighting together? You know what I mean? Like doing the same shit. Like Captain Marvel tore through a whole fucking ship. I wanted to see Hulk doing that also.
Right.
And my thing was, as soon as how I would have handled it, as soon as Hulk tried to wear the fucking glove and it fucked them all up, that was when I would have got Savage Hulk back. Like that's
so he went like insane or something for a while.
Yeah, like it fucked them all up, and he went right back, and they had to do like a thing they do in the comic books where in his head Bruce Banner meets the Hulk and like, listen, You don't like me. I don't like you. But it's the end of the fucking world. Let's do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is all the best Hulk comic books. And
Yeah.
I don't mind a smart Hulk. Like, there's been plenty of comic books where Hulk is smart for a little while, and it's cool as shit because I know he's going to go out front and he's going to see a cat get hit by a car, and he's going to be Savage Hulk again, and it's going to be great. You know what I mean? Or his goldfish is going to die, and he's going to go off the fucking deep end. You know what I mean? I need him to come back, I never got it. And Hulk is tied with Captain America for my favorite guy. So I didn't.
That makes sense.
I love the movie. I love the movie, and I love Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, kinda, but it's not what I would do.
That's fair.
You know,
you kind of touched on this a little bit, but so if the Dark Knight trilogy launched the DC universe, you don't think it would work at all because everything would be too dark?
I don't know if it would be too dark. I think it would be too real. I don't know if maybe, now that I think about it more, maybe Superman, if you did it in, because like I look at movies like what was the Natalie Portman movie where there's like something in, there's like everything starts super evolving.
Annihilation.
Yeah. That's done in a real setting with science fiction stuff.
And it's crazy too, though. It's like
bonkers.
It's nuts. Yeah.
But so here's my thing. Like here's an alien guy on Earth, and he's an alien and he wants to be human, but he'll never be human, but he wants to help these people, and the people love him, but they're kind of like, you're also kind of like a god, which is scary because you're real. Like these are all
literally
classic,
Jesus.
Yeah, these are all literal classic story stuff that is like anyone will like it. But at the end of the day, you need Superman punching something that's going to punch him back. How's that going to look? Do you know what I mean? And it goes back to like the Fantastic Four movie where Galactus was a cloud. Like,
yeah, that does,
no one wants that.
It's
more believable. It's more believable.
No one wants that.
Exactly. It's more believable than a real Galactus. It's more, I would say, consumable than a giant ancient space robot suit guy coming
that
to
eats planets,
life out of your planet. But people want that. Like I want to see Ben Grimm jumping through the air and punching him, and the Torch putting fireballs in his eyes and shit. Do you know what I mean? So it's that. How do you do that for Superman and still have that realistic Superman?
I think if they took the dark sides of the MCU, because obviously Endgame is like, it's a depressing movie. Like it's depressing. Yeah. Like even though they win in the end, it's still sad. Like that's probably the saddest moment I've ever seen in a theater in my life.
It's brutal.
Yeah. And because it's like a very grounded universe. You know what I mean? For the sake of, they have a dude who's a fucking wizard and aliens came and invaded the planet. Exactly. So it's almost if they blended the lines, kind of like, because it's grounded, but if a Galactus showed up in the next movie, it would be believable in the universe. You're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Of course, a fucking,
because of Guardians. You saw Guardians of the Galaxy. That whole scene was inside of an Eternal,
a celestial head or whatever. Celestial. And they show you that clip of the Eternal or whatever with the with the Power Stone.
Sure.
So I feel like if they maybe did that, but it was almost hard because the MCU built so step by step in the beginning, and after the Dark Knight trilogy, it was kind of like, oh, it's over with. You know, they didn't continue it, so it's hard to see if they could have made that happen. You know, it's almost like it wasn't possible at that time. So maybe that's why it happened.
Yeah, you know what it is. I think there's not the God-powered Marvel guys are all punchers. You know what I mean? Or Doctor Strange. The God-powered DC guys are Flash. Flash is hard to buy. Like, you know what I mean? You're reading a comic book and your brain is in comic book mode. Like, oh, okay. But when you see it in a real movie, like, who's beating this fucking guy? Like, this guy is like, Wolverine is a guy you can beat to death. You know what I mean? Cyclops is a guy you can beat to death. You know, Spider-Man. Spider-Man can die. These guys can die. Batman can die.
Yeah, Batman can die, yeah.
But, like, as soon as you're, like, Superman, and I know for a fact that you can move the moon out of the way if, you know what I mean, if something's going to happen, it's like, you know, because he's always Superman. The Hulk might go back. The Hulk is, in my opinion, Hulk is just as strong as Superman. but you can turn the Hulk off.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's just a human if he's Bruce Banner, technically.
Exactly. Like if you put a scary thing in his head and make him sad, he's Bruce Banner again. You know?
Yeah.
Like Captain Marvel too. Like she's like, okay, I don't know why it's more consumable to me than like Aquaman, who's king of all the oceans and can throw a wave. Can he throw a wave at you now? Like I don't even know what his powers are.
It was kind of hard to explain. He kind of like came into his own and can control everyone in the ocean.
Yeah.
Unexplainable for some reason. But yeah, they pretty much are like, hey, he's super strong, he's super fast, he can also breathe underwater, and he can control everything in the ocean. I guess that's it. I don't know. It's hard though because even with Marvel, their power set they evolve so drastically from movie to movie. You know what I mean? Like, look at Thor 1 to Thor in Endgame. Like, it's almost uncomparable. You know?
Right.
So it's weird because in the next Aquaman movie, he could be even stronger. Like, who knows? Like,
yeah. So, but what I don't understand is like, so at the end of those movies, it's like, all right, so Hulk is handsome, smart Hulk. Thor's fat. Captain America's old. Iron Man's dead. Really? Like, but I guess they're making more Thors.
Yeah, they're doing the Thor 4 and which Guardians are going to be a part of, and because obviously you left with them, makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be a part of a lot of it, but maybe, who knows. And then it's been rumored that Smart Hulk will be in She-Hulk, which makes sense because he's in the comics, he's the reason she becomes like Hulk.
Yeah, from a blood transfusion.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it is kind of hilarious.
I mean, I guess in the 70s, who gave a shit? You know what I mean? In the 70s, everything wasn't done to death, so you could do whatever the fuck you wanted. Like, all right.
They may do it differently. Who knows? They kind of do everything differently. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people who are like, "Oh, the movie wasn't like the comics," and I was like, "Did you really just want to see the same thing, just redone?" I was like, "I don't want to see that." Like,
yeah, I like versions of stuff in the comics. I do like that. I don't need it, but I do like some of it.
Yeah, I just think they do a really good job of like hinting at stuff, or there's certain nods. Like if you read this panel, will you get this one thing?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. They do a very good job, but it's almost, in a lot of the comics you can't really do in a movie because the endings like suck. Some comic endings are just terrible. They're just the most anticlimactic thing ever. Like the Infinity Gauntlet story is pointless. It all just, hey, it's undone.
Well, that's when I was doing my I do my podcast with my brother. We were talking about when Guardians of the Galaxy came out. I was like, why? Because hardcore, like boomer comic book fans love the space comics because at the time they had good space comics. Yeah. I'm 41 years old. Space comics suck. They all suck. All the space people sucked. The only time they were good, if the Shi'ar showed up in the X-Men, it was cool.
Yes.
But the X-Men were there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they were a secondary character to the X-Men, yeah.
The Guardians of the Galaxy sucked dick. It was awful. Like, there was nothing readable in it. Like, fucking Yondu in the movie, cool as fuck. Yondu in the comic is a space fairy unicorn man wearing a toga with a bow and arrow. It sucks.
Yeah,
none of them are cool.
I saw the first appearance of Star-Lord, and he's just like some blonde dude that looks nothing like Star-Lord now.
Yeah.
But I know the new movies kind of like launched the new, you know, they're like, oh, this worked. We'll make the comics more like this now, you know? Because I know they're
good. I'm glad they did that because
I know
sucked.
Yeah, the original Guardians weren't even those Guardians. It was the Guardians in Volume 2. That was like Sylvester Stallone and stuff. They were like the original Guardians in the comics, right?
Yeah, a lot of them were, because there's been so many Guardians of the Galaxy because it was so bad. Like, that they just kept trying to put stuff in there that people would like. But unless they, like, came to Earth or had some, like, Earth-based guy, you don't give a shit. Like, you like, so, like, when you have, like, a nihilist, you know what I mean? Like, Annihilation, like, he's coming to Earth, he's bringing all these things. Like, it's cool because the Avengers are fighting them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, otherwise you don't care. And then Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and I'm like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
Like, I like all of this.
Amazing.
You know? And it goes back to what I was saying before. Some shit that didn't work in the comics for me worked great for
in movies, yeah.
And I'm glad that they had the original characters. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. It's exactly what I was saying. It's like it's a cool nod, being like, oh, those were the actual or the original Guardians.
Yeah.
You know.
you know what I mean? Like, good. I'm glad. Like, I love, like, my favorite. I love Nova, and I love the idea of the Nova Corps and shit like that. I thought they were kind of like nerfed in the movies. They were like they're like space, like literal space cops. Like, they're pretty powerful. Like, Captain Marvel is what a Nova is in, you know what I mean? Like, that's what Novas usually are. They're very similar to the Green Lanterns. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, John C. Reilly is a Nova. That's fucking sick. And then they put out that new Nova comic with the young kid, the young Mexican kid from New Mexico. It was great. I fucking loved it. I'm like, oh, this is so good. Like, his dad was a Nova, and he found his dad's helmet, which is like, such a good classic story. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I love this so much. I hope this is what they do. And then they're just cops in weird helmets. Like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're going to kind of redeem it now that like Thanos like leveled Xandar. You know what I mean? I feel like that'll kind of bring like Nova to the forefront and hopefully like restructure it. But
I mean, he's not one of my favorite guys. Like, I'm not like I can live without it. But like, what I got, I was like, this blows. Like, they could have just made them regular cops. Like, why are they Novas at all? Like, their suits blow. I was like, I don't like it. I'm like, I didn't like it.
I didn't mind it, but I also didn't read those comics, so I can't really, you know.
Again, I read him. He was in the New Warriors, and he was teaming up with like the Avengers, and it was cool. But you know, when he was off with fucking, you know, the Spacemen or the Eternals or the, you know, like all these other like weird 60s, 70s guys that you had to be like at least done acid 3 times to like. I don't listen to Rush. I don't like this shit. I don't know what it is. Like,
this doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I don't get it. And like, you know, I love Star Wars and I love Star Trek and I love Starship Troopers and I love fucking Firefly. So I like space shit. I just don't like this space shit. It's bad.
That's fair.
I don't know.
It seems like we're gonna get more space shit in the movies, at least.
The movie space shit has been great.
It's been great, yeah.
More space shit. Fantastic. I love to see more space shit.
Me too. I'm very about it. So I guess in closing in the topic, you think both had a huge impact in different ways. It's pretty much it. Circling back.
I'll say this. The Nolan Batman movies helped all comic book movies in the idea that they were comics. It was a comic movie. Yep. It did not help DC Marvel movies in any fucking way.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It helped them make those movies, and I think those movies will be seen more favorably with time, the way a lot of movies are that are more popular now than they were, like They Live and movies like that years later, They Live is still a great fucking movie. It wasn't a huge blockbuster by any stretch. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of movies like that, and I think the DC movies will be seen that way, and I think it was good for young kids who saw those movies with no concept of like internet critique, who probably saw Aquaman or Superman. This is great. Like, a little kid loves it. Maybe now he goes and buys Superman comics. But Iron Man set off the gigantic, huge, crazy Marvel movie thing, which gave us a ton of really good superhero comic book movies, which definitely got us Spider-Man back in the Marvel universe. It definitely got us Fantastic Four back. You know what I mean? Like, it's done nothing but help. You know what I mean? And they're still going to make awful superhero movies because Iron Man and because of Batman. But Batman, while being fantastic and while it should have done great things, it did not.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree too. I think if we thought more impact in the genre, I would almost pick Iron Man over Batman just for what it did for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But at the same time, The Dark Knight is still one of my favorite movies ever. Not even superhero movies.
Listen, there's not a timeline where I pick Iron Man over Dark Knight.
Yeah, same.
Under my head, it's always going to be a better movie. Is Iron Man going to be a bad movie?
Nope.
No, but it's not. And you know what I'm saying? But it's just, if we're talking about who helped the industry, we got more good stuff because of Iron Man than we did because, and not for nothing, I think there's probably Marvel movies that were better because somebody was like the day before shooting was like, I'm gonna watch Dark Knight Rises. I'm gonna watch Batman Begins, and they're probably like, I can't do all of this, but I can do a little of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They definitely make. I think the one thing the Dark Knight did was make superhero movies serious in a way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you can take these roles and do some real acting behind it. It doesn't need to be some like fluffy bullshit. Like, I'm a superhero. Like, it's like, no, these can be real roles.
I think that there are definitely actors who would have never taken a superhero movie in a million years that said, if Christian Bale can do fucking Batman, I can be fucking Stiltman or whatever. You know what I mean?
Kite
There's
Man.
people who would have, yeah, exactly. Well, Paul Rudd ain't turning down fucking Ant-Man. I don't give a fuck. If this, like, it was never going to fucking happen at any point. Paul Rudd, I feel like Paul Rudd, like, we want you to be a guy named Ant-Man. Paul Rudd would spit his coffee out, lap his ass off and go, I'll be there. Like, I just feel like, he just seems like the type of guy to me that would just be like, I think if they went to him and go, you know, Paul Rudd, we want you to be the fabulous frogman, be like, fuck, yes.
I am in. Sign me up.
And it would be
great. Paul Rudd's amazing. He's the unsung hero of Endgame.
I love him. He's a fucking delight.
He is so great. Like, when he sees his daughter and goes, you're so big, like, I get teary-eyed thinking about it. I'm not.
Yeah. when he's like taking her through the tunnel with like the Ant-Man tunnel.
Oh, and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, and fucking Lewis in that movie, the fucking Spanish guy, he's great. And he's like, the character from the first one to the second one is like a world apart, but it's perfect.
It's so good.
So good. And who the fuck is that? He's not in the comics.
We still need him doing, you know, the recaps he does in those movies.
Yeah.
Of like things that we need him recapping, like the Infinity Saga.
Oh,
like I need like a 30-minute recap or like whatever, 15, whatever they want to do. But like them actually showing the action shots of the people acting, but him talking over it. Like, I need that. Like, how insane would that be?
It would be. I need him. I need 3 seconds of him getting a suit. I don't need him powered. I don't need it. But like, if Endgame would have ended with just him in a suit and then doing nothing, that would have been perfect. That would just like, he finally got his fucking suit, like that he wanted so bad. I would love that. Like, I don't need him growing or shrinking or anything. I just need him like in his suit talking on a cell phone, because you know he'd be ecstatic just to be in that suit. That would be perfect. I would do that. That's what I would do.
Maybe we get him an Ant-Man 3. Maybe we get him an Ant-Man 3 in a suit.
There has to. I demand it.
All right, so I am going to end every episode in I think I'm going to change it to call it Metalcore Minute. All right.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So you have a minute to talk about anything you're into, whether it be music, TV show, comics, whatever. Go.
Right now?
Go.
Right now I am into Dungeons and Dragons.
That's it?
That's all I do right now is draw my pictures. I do my comic book, and I play and read about Dungeons and Dragons, and I draw Dungeons and Dragons for other people. And I got into Dungeons and Dragons a year ago at 41. I've always loved Dungeons and Dragons. I've always collected the books. I've always read the books. I've always read the player handbooks.
Yeah.
I always thought they were fantastic. I always liked the artwork. I never played until like last year and a half ago, and I love it. I think it's the most fun I've ever had in my life, and I get to talk to other people, which is not a thing I do usually face to face. Yeah, I do that, and I'm writing a new banner record.
Awesome. That's sick. Yeah, is there anything you want to plug other than you're writing a new record?
No. I mean, follow me on Twitter. I could do art commissions all the time. I would draw anything you want. And I have a podcast called Cerebros, because it is with my actual brother, who is a stand-up comedian, and he wrote for Michelle Wolf's Netflix show, and he's been on everything, all the TV shows, all this podcasts, everything. But we do a kind of a nerd podcast done through a big brother, little brother, going back and forth at each other. And our buddy Jose is in there.
I love it.
But
that's awesome.
Thank you. It's fun.
Cool. Great, man. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
There, be good.
That's it. What a convo with Joey. Like I said, went really off the rails, went off topic, but who cares? Hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. If you want to support the podcast, rate and review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, follow on Spotify, follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Metalcore Nerds. That's all for this one. Until next time, this is Metalcore Nerds.